The rift is growing between politicians and physicians about who should make the calls when it comes to Ebola in the United States.
Just days after Illinois became one of 3 states calling for a mandatory quarantine for returning healthcare workers at risk for the disease, CBS 2's Dana Kozlov reports some experts are suggesting it may be too much.
In just a matter of hours, more than 6,000 emergency room doctors will head here to Chicago's McCormick Place. On the agenda for their conference, Ebola and how ER doctors in ER rooms across the country should uniformly handle suspected cases.
I think it's important to know that emergency physicians are talking about it.
It's a timely discussion, especially considering the controversy surrounding the mandatory quarantine of nurse Casey Hickox in New Jersey. Forced into isolation after working with Ebola patients in Sierra Leone, Hickox has called her quarantine inhumane, pointing out she's tested negative for the disease.
When you put everyone in the same basket, that's the thing that we're concerned about.
And that's why the head of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases is concerned.
The best way to protect Americans is to stop the epidemic in Africa, and we need those healthcare workers to do that.
Dr. Fauci isn't the only physician expressing doubt. What are your thoughts on that quarantine?
The quarantine is one way to deal with an epidemic. It's one way to deal with any epidemic.
But Dr. Daniel Bachman says it may not be the best way. Most important right now is getting doctors on the same page when it comes to handling Ebola concerns, one focus of the conference here.
When you're tasked as the physician on hand to draft the policy for how we care for Ebola patients in the emergency department in your local community, you obviously turn to the national resources, and that's what ASAP's trying to provide.
According to state and city healthcare officials, no at-risk medical worker has been quarantined in Illinois since Governor Pat Quinn announced that mandate for those at-risk workers late last week. Reporting from the control room, Dana Kozlov, CBS 2 News. Jim and Mike.
Thank you, Dana.